Every nation on Earth has fallen under the yoke of tyranny, the metric system. From Beijing to Buenos Aires, from Lusaka to London, the people of the world have been forced to measure their environment in millimeters and kilograms.
Actually, it's kilograms. His mispronunciation appears intentional.
The United States is the only major country that has resisted, but we have no reason to be ashamed for using feet and pounds. So says new Criterion editor James Panero. We spoke with him recently.
I'm joining you tonight as an anti-Metrite. I'm taking a stand against the metric system, the original system of global revolution and new world orders.
Actually, the New World Order is a conspiracy theory about a secret totalitarian world government, which is absurd and also unrelated to the metric system.
God bless you. That's exactly what it is. Esperanto died, but the metric system continues, this weird, utopian, inelegant, creepy system that we alone have resisted.
Actually, the metric system is frequently described by scientists as elegant because the units are related by powers of 2 and they're related to each other in a simple way. For example, 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram and 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams.
How long can we hold out against it, would you say?
Well, today, as you mentioned, the United States stands nearly alone in the world in maintaining customary measures. The inch, the pound, the foot, the mile. And we should stand tall on our own 2 feet, I say.
Actually, the US customary system developed from English units and is hardly a US invention. I will use the term imperial in this video for British empire-derived systems.
Because it was customary measures that measured out the Industrial Revolution and customary measures that took us to the moon.
Actually, the Apollo guidance computer used metric units for its calculations, but it displayed the units in imperial for the astronauts because they are obviously used to imperial units.
The metric system, meanwhile, is the product of the French Revolution. It was imposed at the business end of the guillotine.
Actually, he's implying that the metric system was required under some sort of threat of punishment or even capital punishment, but I cannot find any sources for this. In fact, people were initially hesitant to switch, so part of the system was actually reverted under Napoleon.
So why are our leaders so anxious that we join the rest of the world in using, Robespierre's favorite standard of measurement? I don't understand.
Actually, because it would make national and international cooperation in science and business much easier. It would also eliminate conversion errors, which can cause major accidents, like the Mars Climate Orbiter, which ended up crashing.
Well, that's right, because it's assumed to be progressive. It's assumed that everyone has gotten behind it. Let me take you back to a bit of history. 1793, the height of the French Revolution, the height of the French Terror. The Jacobins deposed the pied de roi, that's the foot of the king, the measurement of France, and replaced it with the meter. Now, all customary measures use man and his labor as the basis of its measurement. What's an acre? It's the amount of land that a yoke of oxen can till in one day.
Actually, today oxen are rarely used for farming in the United States, so this number wouldn't be meaningful to anyone.
A mile comes from millipasses, or 5,000 paces, 1,000 paces at 5 feet each.
Actually, a mile is 5,280 feet though, and not 5,000 feet, right? The reason is it got changed from 5,000 to 5,280 in the 1500s, so that it would be divisible by a furlong, which is 660 feet. Which is obviously very reasonable. Yeah, here's my source for this. By the way, I also asked my American friends, and several of them could not tell me how many feet were actually in a mile, so you can hardly use the system. But I do have to agree with Panero's point here. 1000 is an elegant factor to use. So if only there was some sort of system that was actually based on 1000s. So maybe we could even use this Latin word that he mentioned for it, some sort of milli something, maybe like a millimeter or a milligram, if only we had some sort of system like that.
A meter is what? It's an abstract division of the globe that isn't even accurate.
So it's completely made up out of nothing.
It's totally.
Actually, a meter is also the length of a pendulum, which would take 1 second to swing.
Totally made up. And here's something else. Even worse than overturning custom has been the meter's imposition of 10. It's a 10 size fits all mentality. Now here's how it gets crazy. The French Revolution went all in for 10. They tried to impose a 10-day week. 100 hours,
Yes.
100 minutes, 100 seconds. They had a whole revolutionary calendar. Now the metric system with its tens is what remains of their radicalism.
Actually, the metric system does not include decimal time, and no one is actually proposing adopting decimal time. The calendar is based on cyclical events, mainly the day and the year, so having a single unit would not make sense. Dividing a day into 10-based intervals, one could argue, would make sense and would make some calculations easier.
Now that sounds reasonable. Actually, counting by 10 is pretty good. We have 10 fingers. You can count your money in 10. It's good for abstract
Right.
calculations. It's not great for measuring things in the real world. There's a reason why our measurement system has 12s, 8s, and 60s. It comes from ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom, from the Romans 12, from the Babylonians 60.
Actually, when it comes to science, modern findings and modern ideas usually improve on older knowledge. For example, our current system of writing numbers is much better than the Roman numeral system.
Why? Because those numbers divide up evenly into thirds, fourths, halves, and enables common people to make calculations and to measure their lives without complex arithmetic. What's a third of a foot? It's 4 inches. What's a third of a meter? 33.3 something centimeters. It doesn't even add up.
Actually, 5 goes into 10 but not into 12. 3 going into 12 is an advantage of 12, but we use a base 10 number system already because we have 10 fingers. But if humans had 12 fingers, for example, we would likely use base 10, and then we would likely have a 12, then we would likely use base 12, and then we'd have a 12-based metric system.
You see the problem right there.
I do see the problem, and I've never heard it as eloquently expressed as you just did. I think you give a lot of us heart to keep fighting against the global tyranny of the metric system, and bless you for that.
Well, thank you. You know, our system is quaint, but it's ours. It connects us to our ancestors through cups, through teaspoons and tablespoons. I can still cook the recipes of my grandparents, and it's...
Actually, cooking recipes in metric countries do use teaspoons, which are defined as 5 milliliters. No one is arguing for eliminating teaspoons from recipes. They are very practical.
that
Exactly.
connection to the past that the French Revolution and the revolutionaries have always tried to destroy.
Yeah, I'll accept the kilometer when we accept the euro. Never.
Actually, it looks like he does know how to know it looks like he does know how to pronounce kilometer, so that's at least something.
Thanks very much. Good to see
All
you.
right,
Lenny.
thank you, Tucker.